Hey, Scott, first of all, it's great to see you in front of the camera today. Secondly, I guess just the basic question, how are you doing? Tell me what's going on and how are you doing now?
Yeah, thanks, Thomas. Yeah, right now I'm feeling okay. Physically just a little bit sore, with from the incision spot, but for the most part overall, I'm feeling okay right now. And I'm just super thankful that for the medical staff over at the Mayo Clinic for taking really great care of me when I got there, and they were, from the nurses to the doctors, everybody in between, they were, I'm very, very grateful for their services.
Okay, I know Buddy's discussed it, but if you could kind of walk through what went on the other day and the days leading up to what happened.
Sure. Yeah. So I had pitched in a game. We had a field B game, so to speak, whatever. Wednesday, I pitched in that. Outing went pretty well. The next day, I was out playing catch. I felt some tightness in the top of my forearm. I noticed that my hand had kind of gone white, started to feel numb, started to get some cramping in my hand. So I kept my throwing short that day. Brought this attention to the trainer that was out in the field. We went to go look for a pulse in my wrist. We couldn't find it. And so kind of at that point, I just knew that, I needed a little bit more medical attention. And at that point, it was pretty serious. So, went back inside, talked to the trainers. We got on the phone with the vascular surgeon in Philadelphia. He, in turn, got on the phone with the vascular surgeon that I ended up seeing over here at the Mayo Clinic, because they had worked together in New York, I believe, for a number of years. So basically, we were just told to go to the emergency room, and his team, he and the doctor at the Mayo Clinic and his team will come down, will meet us, and that's kind of exactly what happened. They met us there. We did some quick tests just to see if they could get a pulse on a different machine. Kind of laid out what was going to happen. We were going to go in, do an angiogram. They're going to run the catheter through my groin, up through my arteries, and kind of go from there. So I ended up having a procedure Thursday afternoon. Went back to the ICU floor, spent the night there. The next morning, mid-morning, took me back in to finish up and make sure that we got all of the clots out of the arm. Went back to the floor to recover for the next 5 or 6 hours. Made sure I kind of dotted some I's and checked some boxes to make sure that I could be discharged. And I was discharged and went from there. So that's kind of, the full picture of, kind of what transpired over those 72 hours or so.
I guess when you were on the field and you noticed what was going on, did you know what it was right then?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of going through multiple bouts of this thing, I have a fairly clear idea of the symptoms themselves. And I think just as athletes, we have a very heightened sense of awareness of what's going on with our bodies in general. So, when something like that happens, that kind of seems out of the ordinary a little bit. You kind of have a sixth sense for, what could be going on or whatnot. So, I kind of had a little bit of an idea as to the gravity of the situation.
I guess where are you right now? No, it's quick, and obviously you have your thoughts about trying to get back this year and everything else. Just where are you right now? Is it just total health focused? Is baseball on the mind, or just where are you as far as it goes?
Yeah, I mean, in general, baseball is always going to be on my mind. It's been on my mind since I was, since I was a kid, since I started playing the game. And it'll be with me, always on my mind. Probably moving forward. But yeah, you're right. Currently, right now, my thought process is just, overall general health. Making sure that I'm there for my family. The best that I can be, and just taking it slow at this point, getting with the doctors, asking further questions, and doing whatever they're asking me to do moving forward here.
Yeah, and the last one for me, I guess. Sometimes you see these things and the speculation about the future, but have you even thought about that at this point?
No, I think it's too early to even consider anything, whatever that looks like. The main focus right now is just day-to-day health. Make sure I stay on my medication here. Get in contact with some doctors, start setting some things up, in the short term, and that's kind of just where my head's at.
Scott, thank you, and just happy to be talking to you, man.
Thanks, Sons.
Go to Patrick Saunders. Patrick, go ahead.
Hey, Scotty. Yeah, I think I'm speaking for Thomas and all of us that this one hit us hard. You know how much we respect you, so best of luck from all of us.
Yeah, I appreciate that, guys.
My first question for you is, for those of us who have not gone through something like this, one, how scary is it to go through these procedures, which you've had multiple times now? And second part of that, how dangerous can this be if it's not caught soon?
Yeah, it is a little nerve-wracking. Probably more nerve-wracking for my family more than for myself. My wife was amazing this whole past week. She's been at home during spring training, getting everything set up for the season and for Denver, and taking care of our daughter, and then this kind of gets thrown on her plate, kind of out of nowhere. She was a rock star the whole time, and so it was probably worse for her than it was for me, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, you just never really know what can happen when you know you gotta take a trip to the emergency room. But I just try to take it in stride and get the best advice that I possibly can from these doctors and these vascular surgeons that I've kind of been fortunate enough to be around. I've been around some of the best guys in the country so far. But yeah, I mean, it certainly can be very dangerous, especially if the clots break off and start heading towards the heart and the lungs and everything. I've been told that, the arteries kind of run away from those vital organs. So at least I guess in that sense that, if you're going to have a blood clot, that's, I guess, maybe the one to have. I can't really speak too eloquently on that. But, at the end of the day, it's just a matter of, noticing what's going on in my body and taking the right precautions to make sure that, we get everything squared away and taken care of.
You had the procedure last September. They took out the top rib, and everyone was hopeful that was going to be the solution. Do they know why this continues to happen even after you had the procedure?
That's kind of like a tricky question, and that's kind of $1 million question that they've all been kind of racking their heads around. Hopefully we're going to be able to come up with some sort of definitive answer, but even at this point, they're not really sure, to be completely honest with you. But they're going to continue to have further conversations. The good thing, I guess, is that they're all familiar with each other, so they're just a phone call away. And if we need to jump on a conference call to discuss further things and ask further questions, we can do that. So I've been in good hands with some of these guys.
Okay, two more for me, and then I'll let someone else in. I think you're still the player rep for the Rocks. And that being the case, are you going to find a way to, even though you're on the 60-day DL now and out of action probably for the year, do you think, are you still going to try to be involved with the team in some sort of fashion during the 2021 season?
Yeah, you're definitely right. I still have my obligations as the team rep for our player association. So, that's probably going to be, taking up a lot of my time this year. And, we're hopeful that I will be around in some capacity. We're not really sure what that's going to look like at this point, but, hopefully we can, find a way to keep me involved and help this team win, any way that I can, whether it's in the ballpark or at an apartment somewhere or back home or, whatever it is, we're still trying to run a few things down and play around and juggle with some things. So, hopefully we'll find something for me to do, here in the near future, whatever it ends up being. But, again, like I was saying to Thomas, the first and foremost is just making sure that I taking care of my health overall and, getting those answers, those questions answered first. Sorry.
And my final one, you spoke to Thomas about the physical side of all this. How are you doing emotionally on this?
Yeah, I appreciate, asking that. It's been hard, not gonna lie. I think this one may be a little bit harder than some of the other ones, but just the overall overwhelming support that I've gotten from people in this building, coaching staff, players, kitchen staff, front office, clubbies, up and down the list, you name it. It's been great. College friends and teammates, family, my parents have been amazing. My in-laws have been great. And then obviously my wife has been amazing too, through this whole process. So, I probably wouldn't have been able to get through it without her, and without everybody else too. So it's, definitely making it a little bit easier on a day-to-day basis, knowing that I have, such a broad support system that I can lean on.
Thank you, man. Best of luck.
Thank you.
I'll go to Nick Groke. Nick?
Yeah, Scott, it's really nice to see you. I can't help sort of but notice that the last two bouts of these clots were really right before the season.
Mhm.
And I know that like in the moment, obviously it's a bit of an urgent situation and you have to really focus on and take care of yourself. In those moments though, back at Coors Field and then again last week, I mean, are you at all thinking, like, man, is this really happening again? I mean, what is in the moment, what are the thoughts like?
Yeah, I mean, those are definitely some of the thoughts. You go through some of these things and, you want to think that the doctors have it figured out and that the last procedure was the one that worked and that, hey, we're going to be good. We're going to be moving forward in the right direction here. And it hits and it's, you kind of get overwhelmed a little bit. It's kind of like a tidal wave of thoughts, emotions, everything, so it's kind of hard to parse through a lot of it because it happens very quickly. And at the same time that I'm dealing with some of that, I know I got to get myself to the hands of the right people so that they can take care of me, from a medical standpoint as well. So, can be tricky, can be hard. Like you said, it has been tough the last, this year and last year with it happening just before the season's about to kick off. And
then I think I know you well enough to know that you're not cavalier at all in any way, really. But are you, the way that you sort of explained how doctors explained to you about what the possibilities were, it seemed like there was a lot of hope that it could work this time. Do you feel like you've been, and I don't even know if this, I'm not, obviously I don't know I'm not a doctor or brain surgeon, but like, are you feeling
I'll
like
answer
it'd be
that without
risky?
you having to ask the last of it. I don't think that I've been misled in any way. I think that, the medical science only goes so far sometimes. And, we have a lot of information currently at hand, but there's also a lot of information about the body that we don't know. And it's just part of it. And I'm not going to sit here and put blame at anybody, because that's, it's just not right. It doesn't feel comfortable doing.
No, gotcha.
Just something that's like, hey, it's happened. It's out of my control. And, I have to do the best I can to accept that reality and do the best I can to move forward within what, the hand that I'm dealt. And that's kind of how I'm approaching this time too, and that's how I try to approach every obstacle and adversity that's been, pushed my way. So that's just kind of always been the mindset that I've taken.
Gotcha. And for you personally, you were comfortable with the risk, obviously, because you felt like you were in good hands. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Okay. Thanks, Scott.
Pat Graham.
Hey, Scott, great to see you. Like everybody said, I'm just glad that you were talking to you and all that. As we've talked about before with you, baseball is a very tight community. Are you amazed at the number of people who have reached out to you? And can you give us some examples of what you've heard from people? I know Chris Archer and people like that have gone through this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's been really nice to feel that overwhelming support from guys across different organizations, across guys that I've, played with in the past here. A lot of different guys have been reaching out or reaching out through their wives to my wife. And, it's just, when you think about it, it's maybe those interactions that you have with guys over the years don't necessarily, you don't really think about maybe too much, but then something like this happens and then you realize that, kind of the impact that guys have had on me and, over the years. And, it's nice that it feels reciprocal at the same time, that, they care enough to reach out and just ask how I'm doing, or if I need anything, to not hesitate to reach out. So it's been really great.
Thank you so much for your time. Great seeing you.
Thanks, Pat.
All right, looks like we have 3 more. We'll go to Tracy Ringlesby first. Tracy.
Scott, you have the first one several years ago, and then the second one comes in August, 2 years ago, right? And then last year, as you're getting ready to play in August, it happens. And at that time you say, well, it's an August type thing. This time you're in spring training and it happens. The lack of time between incidents and the fact the last 2 have come before you've actually really got into serious competition, does that raise any red flags as to, this is more than what we were thinking?
Yeah, I think you're bringing up a good point. I haven't really digested that in and of itself. So I'm not really, I don't want to speculate about anything, just because I haven't really had the time to really process that. But, maybe it's something I will at least, consider, maybe bring to the attention of the doctors and, see if they have any answers for that question.
The other thing is, if for some reason you wouldn't be able to come back and pitch again, which I know you'd like to do, would you like to stay in the game? Would you like to feel like you've done enough that you could be in the game, even if it wasn't in a physical manner?
I don't know. I think that those are big questions. Certainly don't want to get ahead of myself with anything. The game has been very good to me. It's been very good to myself and my family. Who knows what kind of opportunities may present themselves down the road. But I feel like I have, enough relationships, at least, in the game a little bit, that could be a possibility. So we'll see.
And I guess my last question, which is probably real far out, but you had your medical problems when you were in college. Is there any way to relate those to the blood clot issue?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think that idea has been kicked around a little bit, and I think it's hard to pin down how much of an effect, or whatever that may or may not be causing to the overall situation. I know that question has been presented. It's been talked about with multiple rheumatologists, with vascular people, and it hasn't been any clear indication one way or another. So it's I think it's just hard to determine, and they don't want to speculate just because of what they do professionally for a living. Is just try to find as much correct information or whatever, try to parse through all the information that they can, and they think that it could be a possibility, but they can't say either way.
I appreciate it, and it's good to see you as a person. Regardless of what happens from this point on, it's just good to see you as a person.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'll go to Owen Perkins and then Kyle, then go back to Thomas to finish up. Owen.
Hey, Scott, it's great to see you. You answered a lot of my questions, but one you kind of hit on, but in terms of adding this chapter and this experience, new doctors, are you getting any new information out of this? Are you learning anything new, either medically or also just on a personal level from, going through it, this additional time now?
Everything kind of happened pretty quickly. So, I'm hoping that we have some further conversations with those medical people. It was a little bit of a whirlwind for me personally. So, if something new was said, I might have missed it, or, whatever. But, I think every time that something like this happens, it's, I really have to reflect upon myself and the lessons I've learned from past experiences, and try to apply those to the ones in the current moment, and, just, have my full trust in the people that have my body in their hands, and, trust them completely, and then trust myself and my family and everybody else who's been super supportive that, whatever ends up happening, that, things are going to be okay. Things are going to look up, and I'm always going to try to find, those opportunities through some of that adversity.
And then moving forward, as you start to move forward, are you taking any different approach? Do you foresee any different approach as you try to come back again, or just moving forward one way or the other? Anything different, different benchmarks or anything like that?
I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
I think that's still too kind of early to tell. I just, I think that might be a little bit too difficult, just in the sense of, this might be one where things get slowed down a little bit more, but at the same time, I think I don't want to project too far ahead, just kind of focusing on the day-to-day right now, and kind of just going from there.
All right. Well, thanks again for talking to us, and we're pulling for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Kyle Newman.
Hey, Scott. So before last week, in the 4 games you pitched and just overall this spring, did you feel like you were getting back towards that 2019 form and setting up for another big season like that?
Yeah. I did feel pretty good. I'd been pretty confident with the way that I was throwing the baseball. I thought my velocity was okay. I thought my breaking pitches were pretty good. I was trying to put a little bit more attention on my changeup, and trying to just do something different with that. That was kind of one of my goals, was to increase the percentage of how I use that pitch this year, and I was getting some pretty good movement on it. I was really, really happy with where that pitch was at. You know, even gotten a couple of swing and misses on that pitch, which normally I don't do. So it was kind of interesting, kind of fun to see. And, you know, it would have been interesting to really experiment with that and just see how that really played if I, you know, took that pitch from a 5% usage to 10 or 15%, and just kind of how hitters reacted to that. So I was kind of, you know, playing around with that, and I was good. I was feeling pretty good, and you know, so yeah.
And then prior to last week, no pain, numbness, or like discomfort or anything prior to that drawing session last week?
No, not really. You know, it felt pretty decent for the most part. You know, there have been like maybe a time or two here or there where just the fingers themselves would get a little cold, but you know, I'd still have the normal blood flow to the capillaries that I was getting previously. So you know, no major issues before last week.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, Thomas Harding, finish this up.
I just wanted to, when Tracy was talking about, you know, college and everything else, how proud are you that even with the things you've gone through physically, you've gotten to the point to where, you know, for a 2-year period and maybe in the future, you're one of the best relief pitchers in this game. What does that say about you, or what do you, when you look in the mirror and see what you've done, can you say, hey, you know, I'm a tough dude, and no matter what happens in the future, I've accomplished a lot here?
Yeah. You know, I was talking to my college coach yesterday, and you know, it's Coach Jim Penders at UConn, and you know, he was just kind of like, you know, he's like, honestly, he's like, you know, thank goodness that you went through the psoriatic arthritis in college, because he's like, that prepared you for everything else that was thrown at you and came your way. And you know, there have been times where I've reflected on that and how it's kind of, you know, paved a way for me. And just, I don't even know if tough is the right word or not, because I don't really feel all that tough. You know, it just, to me, it's just the mental approach to the way I view things, and you know, the value system that was instilled upon me as a kid and with my brother, you know, by my parents. And you know, so you know, to me, that's kind of where it started. It's just, you know, having that solid foundation at a young age to be able to, you know, accept some of those things that don't go your way, and you know, not to be too upset about the things that are out of your control, and you know, kind of handle things with grace, the best that you can. And my college coach was very similar to that respect, where you know, he was, no matter what was going on or what was going on in his life or on the baseball field, you know, he was always at like 72 degrees, no matter what's going on. And you know, you kind of see that, and you want to emulate that, because it's, you know, it seems like a trait that can get you through, you know, a lot of difficult times. And certainly has been the case for me. So yeah, I mean, I just feel like, you know, at the end of the day too, I don't have, you know, I haven't had any regrets with any of the decisions that I've made in this game, even from going to UConn or whatever. You know, I had other offers, better offers on the table at that time. And, you know, even at that time, I was an 18-year-old kid betting on myself, essentially. You know, just kind of took that mindset and that attitude a little bit with me all the way through. And even the times where I was struggling early on in my big league career, you know, I'm going back and forth between Albuquerque and Denver. You know, it's easy to kind of get wrapped up in yourself a little bit, and think that you deserve more than what you're getting, or you get upset that you got sent down again, or whatever, and just kind of persevering through those times too. That's, I think a lot of the times people forget about that, where it's never really easy to be at the top of your field and to kind of have it taken away and essentially get demoted because of performance or because of, a guy's coming off the injured list, or, because you threw a bunch of pitches and they need to kind of get some fresh arms in the bullpen or whatever the situation may be. It always, sometimes guys will go down and you don't see them again. And that happens across the board. So I think that's kind of been the story really for me, is just constantly overcoming those hurdles on a daily basis, yearly basis, whatever it is. So, definitely proud of how I've handled those things and the way that I have thrown the ball. So hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and I guess the last one for me, and I'll break on this, but when you look back, and Buddy talked about this the other day, what do you think of on the 2018 wild card game? How often do you think about that?
Well, the one thing that always comes to mind, how badly my back leg was shaking every time I lifted my leg to throw a pitch, because it was probably the most nerve-wracking game I've ever been in my life. And I really didn't want to screw it up, especially after we took the lead. But yeah, I mean, that to me was that was something that just like everything kind of came to a head on. All of the experiences, that year I'd been sent down to the minors for about 6 weeks early on in April. Getting through that, it could have been hey, this is the 4th year in a row, we got to send you down. So, we may not be bringing you back up type of thing. That was just one of those games where everything kind of just fell in line, and super grateful that I got to be the one to be out there, getting the last out for the Rockies and getting that win and pushing the team forward. There are days I think about it. There are other days it doesn't really cross my mind. I don't try to live in the past as much, because I don't think that that's necessarily as healthy too, because then you start getting blinded by what's in front of you. So, maybe now might be some time to reflect and maybe put some thoughts down on paper or whatever, but